Hello and welcome back to Premier League Primetime, episode 15. It is just me tonight. None of my co-hosts will make it, so it's just me. Hopefully, you'll enjoy a bit of what I have to say and purely what I have to say. So as you know, there were some midweek Premier League games, and Tottenham versus Fulham got postponed because of this 2-week circuit, and that's been apparently proposed by Boris Johnson, and it could be going back into lockdown. Of course, for all Premier League fans, that'd be a real shame to see, but I've heard what some managers have to say about it. I heard Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talk about it, and he said he didn't feel like there's any reason why there should be, a 2-week circuit, and that it would just further complicate schedules and things like that. And then on the other hand, Sam Allardyce, manager West Brom, was actually saying that it would be a good thing, and that it would actually do society and would do the United Kingdom right to have this 2-week circuit break. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the 2-week circuit break. We're here to talk about, or I'm here to talk about Matchday, the Matchday that, of course, has happened this midweek. And we're going to start right off with Arsenal and with Sirius. And Sirius and Mikel Arteta did get a 1-0 victory at Brighton. Did predict that they would get a win. Alexander Lacazette coming off the bench. Assist coming in from Bukayo Saka. And this game was in a sense there for the taking for Arsenal. They needed this win in order to keep their confidence going. 2 games in a row unbeaten. And Mikel Arteta slowly finding his feet again. And it looks like, this crisis that they've been in for that they were in for 8 or 9 straight games, is sort of looking to come to an end. And a light, and it seems like there is a light at the end of this tunnel for Arsenal. Disappointing result for Brighton, and it's just as simple to say that that the quality on the pitch, it showed. It showed. When you have guys like I know youngsters like Emil Smith-Rowe were playing in that game, but when you have guys like Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Alexander Lacazette coming off the bench, the quality difference is massive. And Arsenal just had to win that game. It was a must-win game, and I feel like the next couple of games, is a must-win game, or are must-win games if they're going to find their feet again. Anyways, going into the next game, and we have Southampton against West Ham, and it ended 0-0. And I do have to say that honestly, that this game was really it was very even, very 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 even. Both of them had 8 shots on target. 8 shots, 3 both had 3 on target. And it could have gone either way. But Southampton, of course, dominated in possession. They had, I think, more than 65% possession. And West Ham had 37% or something like that. And these are 2 sides who are both dark horses in the Premier League this season. These sides, in terms of their own expectations, have done, exceptionally well. Just looking at what Southampton or West Ham's, expectations are, just in the cold light of reality. And both sides both sides take a point. But in terms of just the form that they've been in, just overall through the course of the season, they really, aren't too happy with it. David Moyes did go back to that 3 at the back formation, which was very, very important, because the best of West Ham we've seen has been with that 3 at the back. And I think we'll do West Ham a lot better. I know they've had some games where they played 4 at the back and they've had some wins, but they've looked at their best with that 3-man back line with Cresswell at left center back, and then you have Balbuena, and then you have Ogbonna in there with the 2 wing backs, Kufal and Masuaku being there as well. Anyways, into the next game, and it was Burnley against Sheffield United. Um, and it was a relegation battle. Burnley won that game by a goal to nil through a cheeky little Ben Mee header off of a set piece, and important win for Burnley. They very needed that. Because of course, both of them are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. And they need points. Sheffield United, and it just shows yet again, defensively, they are just a shambles. They are not good enough. And at this point, I think they've only got 3 points this season, 4 points this season, and that it's poor. It's absolutely poor. When you look at the Sheffield United of last year, a huge part of that, and I'll say it again, was Dean Henderson. And you go from Dean Henderson to Aaron Ramsdale, and that's just not good enough. In terms of goalkeeping quality, it's not good enough. And yeah, and it seems as if Sheffield United is set to go down. And in terms of Chris Wilder, man, I don't know what is going on with Chris Wilder. I don't know if they're going to keep faith in Chris Wilder, or if they are just going to say, you know what, enough's enough, and they're just going to pull the trigger at some point. If I were the Sheffield United owners, I'd seriously be considering, pulling that trigger, as well as Chris Wilder did last season. As good of a coach as he can be, because let's be real, Sheffield United finished 8th, 9th, 10th, I think, last season, and it just shows that he is a good coach. He is a good coach. His tactics are very basic, in the sense that it's just 3 at the back 5 at the back with 2 wing backs, and it's just counter-attacking football, and that's just crap. That's not really an entertaining style of football to see, but sometimes it does work, and it did seem to work this time around. Not this game, not this season, but last season. My bad. But yeah, Burnley were just far too strong. Sean Dyche doing the usual, keeping it compact in that 4-4-2 formation. Strong, stiff, physical at the back. 2 midfield, Westwood and Cork, both of them extremely physical, or very physical presence in that midfield, and they're battering up that midfield, and that's what Burnley do best. And of course, the result I am most happy about: Manchester United versus Wolves, and Mr. Marcus MBE Rashford leaves it late, in the 93rd minute to clinch the win by a goal 2-0. And looking at this game, I'll say this: when I saw the starting 11, it was a starting 11 that I didn't have too many problems with. I was a bit surprised to see Matchday come back into the lineup. I was kind of surprised to see Pogba starting. But to be honest with you, if you have a player of that quality and of that caliber, and all these already played him anyways, so it's just like you may as well just play him while you have him. Because, regardless of what anybody says, he's a top quality player and he's a world-class player. I don't care what anybody says. Only someone deluded would say that Paul Pogba is not a world-class player when he's at his best. And I will have to say, there were players which have had very, very good games now for the past 3, 4, 5 games, and against Wolves they weren't great. Bruno Fernandes, I love this guy. I love him so much. I've even come out and backed my G to be better than Kevin De Bruyne. Look at this guy's form. And as I said, other than Kane or Son, maybe Mane and Salah, who's better than Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League? And I will answer that: no one. In terms of form and in terms of influence that this guy has on the team, nobody else besides those 4, I would say. But Bruno was crap. He really wasn't good. He kept turning the balls over time and time again. But yet again, he finds a way to make it work and to make the team click. He was the one who got the assist for the Rashford goal. Keeping that in mind, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's just like, honestly, at this point, for me, I don't care how you get the win, regardless if it's if it's sexy, attractive football, or whether it's just plain dull, boring, sit back, hit on the break. At this point, you know what? I just want to see Liverpool drop points, because whether people want to say it or not, Manchester United are in a title race. We are 3 points off of Liverpool with a game in hand. And honestly, if we win that game in hand, we are level with Liverpool. And honestly, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decides to stop the favoritism and to cut the bullshit, I honestly think we could, and we need to sign a center back in January. I'm not forgetting that. I'm definitely not forgetting that. If we do all those things, I honestly think Manchester United could be a serious threat to Liverpool. And as much as some of these pundits want to say Manchester City is a greater threat, look at where Manchester City are in the league. They don't even have a striker of any kind to score the goals that they need. And what I will say about Wolves is that Wolves came in, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, give Wolves credit," but really, what Wolves did was just, Nuno Espirito Santo went back to that, 3 at the back formation. He literally went right back to sitting back. He was hoping, praying to get a point out of Old Trafford, and Manchester United. It wasn't pretty, but we grinded out the win, and honestly, that's all that matters. But yeah, Bruno wasn't great. Pogba was, below average. Rashford really wasn't in the game. Mason Greenwood wasn't great. Cavani, he got no service, and he's now experiencing the same problems that Anthony Martial has had for the past, the past year before Bruno came. But I will say Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly looked very, very comfortable next to each other. And I will say this again, and I will back my guy. I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Maguire, but do I think he's become a crap player overnight? No, I don't. I think, but whether it's him or Lindelof, they need a pacey center back next to him. The person next to him needs to complement them. Because when you have the likes of Pedro Neto and especially Adama Traore, and you're in a foot race with Harry Maguire, as a United fan, I know I'm screwed watching that because I know Adama's winning that every single day of the week. But Manchester United, they did everything they needed to do. It wasn't great, but you know what? They got 3 points at the end, and for me, that's all that matters. Next game. And today, Newcastle played Liverpool, and that was a goalless draw again. And what I will say is Newcastle defended absolutely brilliantly. And I will give a shout out to Darlow, the Newcastle goalkeeper, because he was exceptional. Big saves on Salah, another big one on Mane, made a couple of saves on Firmino. Newcastle were very, very good defensively, despite conceding loads of shots. But they were able to defend well. Steve Bruce, there really wasn't much to it other than trying to hit them on the break with pace of Callum Wilson and whatnot. Got a couple chances early on, but yeah, Liverpool will be leaving the game, shooting themselves in the foot because they didn't get those 3 points, and that was a huge 3 points that they needed if they were to secure their place at the top of the league. But that place is far from secure. Manchester United are literally, they're really right on their heels. And you know what? And especially looking at the table this year, this title race is far from over, and it's wide open. And the last game played in this midweek that I've not covered is a game that I thought would have been a turning point for West Brom. I was sorely mistaken, as Leeds United absolutely battered them. An unbelievable own goal from Romain Soares. I had no idea how that's even possible. Never seen anything like that in my life. A 20-yard back pass. I'll say it again. A 20-yard back pass to Sam Johnstone after Johnstone opened up and he just put it right into his own end. I feel so sorry for both of them. Must have been something instinctually, but you know what? That's just, if I was Sam Allardyce there, I would have been losing my mind at that. Goals coming in from Alioski, Jack Harrison, Rodrigo, and the Brazilian Rafinha. It just was men against boys. It's that simple. Leeds United outclassed West Brom in every way, shape, and form. This was just no contest of a game. This was just the West Brom we know and have seen. And Sam Allardyce, in my opinion, now has a far more difficult task ahead of him than he thought he'd be having. And this West Brom side, it just shows that, you know what, they're not that much better than Sheffield United. defensively, they're still a shambles. They're fruitless going forward. I also don't get why he's benching one of their best players, Mateus Pereira. I don't know what goes behind, going on behind the scenes, the West Brom training grounds. Maybe Pereira played, I don't know, Allardyce in a game at chess and he lost or something, and Allardyce was bitter about it. I don't know. Who knows? But I really don't get why he's not starting Mateus Pereira. He's a very good player in a West Brom sense. He could easily get into some of the lower Premier League teams. Definitely. He could definitely improve some of these Premier League sides. But yeah, Leeds United, it was an expected Leeds United performance, deadly, clinical, ruthless, no mercy. And what more can I say other than I was sorely mistaken in thinking that West Brom had turned a corner. And now we're going to predict the games for, of course, the start of 2021. And hopefully, the games will come through and will be played. And I will start off with Everton against West Ham. This game for me could be a very exciting game. It has the potential to be exciting. And there's a lot to that you could take out of this game. Key players for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and of course you look at these injuries like James Rodriguez and Richarlison, two big misses that make a huge difference to that side. I think Alon's still out injured. Luca Digne's out. And for me, despite the injuries, I think Everton will pull through and will manage to get a point. I think this game has a draw written all over it. And all right, going into the next game, we have the boys. We host Aston Villa on New Year's Day. And for me, when I look at Aston Villa, and when anybody looks at Aston Villa, you think of one guy. One guy that you need to constantly have two people marking, not let him anywhere out of your sight, Mr. Jack Grealish. And I know, and we've all heard Robbo suck him off at times, go on about how good he is, but he's right. Jack Grealish, for me, is a top-class player. He's one of the best players in the Premier League this season. He's been nothing but exceptional. He has been the guy who's kept Aston Villa in the Premier League last season, and he is still carrying Aston Villa on his back this season. Yes, he's had more help from guys like Ollie Watkins. Ross Barkley's still out with an injury. Trezeguet is out with injuries, but they have a good midfield in Douglas Luiz and John McGinn. They have Bertrand Traore on the left-hand side, and the man in form, actually, Anwar El Ghazi, he can definitely cause problems. And for me, it's all about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, team selection. But honestly, and I know Tyrone Mings is now out, and whether Konsa is back or not, they definitely have some injury problems. And also, I'll give Matchday the benefit of the doubt. I think they'll come away and they will win this game. I think that performance against Wolves, yes, it wasn't great. It wasn't sexy by any way, shape, or form. But you know what? It's all about the 3 points. And they just kept going and going and going. And it didn't for you time well with Sir Alex on the sand. Cheers, Sir Alex. But you know what? They got the job done, and I think Solskjaer will take this result forward, and he'll come away with a victory here. I think it won't be pretty, but I think Manchester United will get the win here. Into the next game, and we have Tottenham hosting Leeds United, and this is going to be a very interesting game. For me, Tottenham has this game written all over them to win, because Leeds United, as we saw against Manchester United, they play a way of football that they leave so much open space at the back. And I think this is just going to be a Mourinho masterclass. And I'm going to say, and I'm going to predict it, players like Heung-min Son, whether he chooses to actually play Gareth Bale or not, Steven Bergwijn, that pace coming from that left-hand side, it's going to be so deadly and overwhelming. Dan James was able to was able to get in behind so many times. Even Scott McTominay. And looking at that, I honestly think that Tottenham have this game written in their favor, and I don't think it should be going any other way other than that. Next game, we have Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United, and this is no brainer. Crystal Palace will come away with the win, despite Roy Hodgson's very defensive way of playing, where he just kind of like Burnley, sit back and hit on the break. I think it's Sheffield United. I'm sorry to Sheffield United fans, but it's Sheffield United, and I'll be frank, they're shit. They're absolutely shit. They're dreadful. They're dreadful defensively, and they're toothless going forward. They have some okay players like Sanderberg. I rate Sanderberg. I think he's a good player. Really, other than that, they don't have a lot. They really don't have anything, really. And Crystal Palace have Wilfried Zaha, again, arguably one of the best players in the Premier League. Maybe not by stats this season, but in terms of talent and what we know he can do, this guy can score goals for fun. And you know what? I think Wilfried Zaha is going to deliver again, as usual, and I think they will come away with a win. Going to the next game, Brighton against Wolves. This is a very interesting game. Both of these sides lost by a goal to nil. And honestly, this game's actually tougher than one can predict. Honestly, I know Pedro Neto has been scoring goals for Wolves and stuff like that, but honestly, Wolves have really struggled in terms of finding, have really struggled in terms of scoring goals. Other than Pedro Neto, they really, nobody has really filled that void left by the injured Raul Jimenez, and that's a huge loss for Wolves. And Brighton, going on the other hand, defensively, at times they are a shambles. They have a very, very good midfield, in my opinion. I think Alzate is a decent player. I think Lallana's okay, but they have a guy by the name of Yves Bissouma, and that guy is class. I would love to see him at Manchester United. I think, any top team that needs a central defensive midfielder would love to have this guy. He has been exceptional this season. He's been very, very good since his move from Lille back in summer of 2018, and I think this guy is going to be a very, very good player. Like Tariq Lamptey, like Ben White. I think at some point, players like that, they're just going to move on, whether they're called like it or not, because it's for ambition, and you can't blame them. But yeah, I think this game is going to be a draw. As crazy as some people may think it is, both these teams play very, very similar ways of football, very similar. Into the next game, I'll just sum it up. West Brom against Arsenal, and Arsenal. I don't think there's any explanation needed for that one. I think Arsenal will come away. It will go away to West Brom. West Brom are just so poor in almost in every category. Arsenal will come away and will take care of business, and will get the win at West Ham. The question is, how many goals? And the next game, we have Burnley against Fulham, and this game has a draw written all over it. Fulham have definitely looked better in coming weeks, but I just think due to the way Burnley play and how defensive they are, I think this game is a draw written all over it. I think Fulham at times are shaky at the back, but that midfield that they have, whether it's Anguissa or whether it's Loftus-Cheek, they have players that can come there and do a job. And personally, for me, I think this is going to be very simple, very straightforward. It's going to be a draw. I really don't see any other way around it. Into the next game, we have Leicester City against Newcastle, and I think it's straightforward. Leicester City is going to come away with the win, as well as Newcastle did against Liverpool. I honestly don't think luck can be a reason for why games happen. And for me, it was luck how they got. I was watching the game, and I thought, how on earth have Liverpool not scored? But I think, at a certain point, your luck runs out. Whether it runs out this game or next game, who knows? But I honestly think that this is going to be very simple, very straightforward, and I think Leicester, they have one of the best strikers in the Premier League, or the Premier League has seen in the past 5 or 6 years. Jamie Vardy is a top level striker. And this guy has busted since, since that 2015-16 season. He's been exceptional for Leicester. And this guy, he's still scoring goals. And of course, they have players like James Maddison, and you have Iosi Perez, and Harvey Barnes is the man in form. He has been incredible as of recent. He scored a wonder strike against Manchester United. I had no idea how on earth he did, but that was a wonderful strike, regardless of what you want to say, about freaking after Bruno losing the ball and freaking McTominay, galloping like or doing bunny hops like crap. And that's why Scott McTominay for me is just a bench player. And Fred was probably looking at him like, "What are you doing? Why are you letting Harvey Barnes have a free shot at the top of the 18? We know the guy's got a strike. I mean, we've seen him score some absolute screamers, and he scored one against Sheffield United last season. He can score wonderful goals, and honestly, I didn't get that. But anyways, focusing on this game, but it's not going to be an easy win for Leicester. I think Newcastle again are going to try and just grind out a point, but I think Leicester will break them down after some time. Second to last game, and arguably the most exciting game of the weekend, or of that weekend, Chelsea host Manchester City. What can I say other than the fact how both of these teams struggle to score goals? They're both toothless up front, to be honest with you. Gabriel Jesus for me is inconsistent. Aguero's barely featured this season. And they've had players like Ferran Torres and Raheem Sterling start up front. None of them strikers. And then, of course, on the Chelsea side, other than the most consistent player actually has been Olivier Giroud. He's been the one scoring more goals than anyone. And then, of course, we've seen Tammy Abraham. We've seen Timo Werner play up there. Timo Werner, for me, it seems like he's lost scoring touch at the moment. I don't know what on earth has happened to Kai Havertz, but maybe just, a first-season syndrome. Same thing with Timo Werner. But for me, this game for me, I think this game is going to be a draw. I think both teams have their struggles, and for me, I think this game is going to end in a draw. Simple. And the last game, we have Southampton against Liverpool, and I think Liverpool, as much as I'd love to see them lose against Southampton, I know it's probably not going to happen. I think it's a matter of time before Liverpool wins. As good, as well organized as a team that Southampton is, it comes to a certain point when you also have to look at quality on the pitch. As I said earlier, as I said with the Leeds United West Brom game, Liverpool have one of the best attacking trios in the world, supposedly. And Southampton's defense is going to have a really, really difficult job of doing it. But you also have to look at key players on the Southampton side. I mean, you have James Ward-Prowse. He's been playing well. Theo Walcott's actually been playing well. I mean, I forgot Theo Walcott even playing the Premier League till this season. You have Che Adams. That center back partnership of Vestergaard and Bednarek, that's been very good season. You have Alex McCarthy, who's been very good in goal as well. I think Liverpool are going to win, but it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a blowout like it was against Crystal Palace. So yeah, I think Liverpool will win this one. Anyways, that is it. If you enjoyed this episode and if you enjoyed just hearing from me personally, smash a like on this video. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. And if you want to keep track of us on Spotify or Instagram, down in the description below, please take a look. And as I've said before, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer always says about his squad, or like how he says about his squad, we're a young channel. We want to build, a quality fan base, and all he asks is for some support. And you know what? And I'll say this right now. I'm just a young kid. I'm not really a kid. I'm a young person. I'm a young fan. Want to express my opinions on the Premier League, and then it's that simple. And all my co-hosts are absolutely fantastic. I know I used to lose sometimes, but I mean Sirius and Jose and Andre, who's who are all terrific, and Robertson, who's absolutely amazing since he's joined our group. And it's just been incredible. Anyways, that's all I have to say. And also one last thing, if you have any video ideas or questions for me personally as a host, I would absolutely love to hear it. Send it to us on Instagram, whatnot. Please do so, because I want to hear what all you have to say about the Premier League. I want to hear your opinions. We're a platform for everybody. All opinion is welcome here. We love all fan opinion. And anyways, with that said, wherever you're watching this in the world, we'll see you after the New Year. Have a great New Year's, and wherever you are watching this in the world, have a great day/evening.